Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you all? So, in today's session, we'll discuss about the calming condition of Bangladesh. You know that after 2 or 3 days later in Bangladesh, there will be observing the highest festival of the Muslim people. This is called as the Eid ul Adha. Actually, Muslim people has two types of greatest festival in Bangladesh. One is Eid ul Fitr and other is Eid ul Adha. But you know that it is not actually the festival. It is the terminology based on the dedication, based on the presentation and devotee to the Almighty Allah by slaughtering the animals. So I think that this is not only the biggest festival of the Muslim people, this is also a biggest source of business and income for the government of Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is literally the second highest Muslim practicing Muslim country based people. So in that perspective, Bangladeshi government, they have the right to take some of the strategies for making the more powerful festival as a business source. So why the Eid ul Adha is a business source for the Bangladeshi government? Because you know that the skin and skin related industry of Bangladesh called as the tannery. So during the time of Eid ul Adha, there is cutting and slaughtering huge amount of animals, for example like goats and like cows. So in that perspective, Bangladeshi government, they can make a huge amount of foreign investment and money for the development of Bangladesh. But unfortunately, the problem is that the Bangladeshi government, even the individual industry, they are not concerned about the biggest festival. So for these regions, only three or four parties or four or five parties, they articulated everything in the biggest tannery sector. In the previous time, the tannery was in the Hazaribagh, but after the writ petition, right now the tannery industry has been transferred from Hazaribagh to Shavar. So most of the advocates, they made a writ petition on behalf of the common people that the industry of the Hazaribagh, it was directly violated the environmental principle and environmental jurisdiction in Bangladesh. But I will not discuss about the environmental perspective. I will only discuss about the business source. Even you know that for more than 20 years, the root level people, the root level businessmen, they could not make a huge amount of money because of the syndicate in the skin sector, in the syndicate of the tannery sector. So from the various research, I have come to know that in the tannery industry, Bangladeshi government, in the previous time, Bangladeshi government could make a huge amount of money without any kind of hesitation, without any kind of dilemma. But what was the actual problem? Why the Bangladeshi government, they could not make a huge amount of money in the recent time? So the first reason is that it is actually related to the syndicate. The tannery sector is in the hand of the syndicate member. So whenever they will not come out from the syndicate or syndicate surrounding system, in that time Bangladeshi government, they will not make a huge amount of money in the biggest source of income. The second reason is that it is not only the business source. Here is related the 100% people's risk, people's investment, even people's employment. So Bangladeshi government, as far as it possible, they have to look after the matter very cautiously. And I believe that with a very short time, in the future time, Bangladeshi government, they will be capable to gain huge amount of money from the tannery sector. The third reason is actually the corruption. Corruption is the biggest reason, and for these reasons, most of the garment sector, most of the industry sector related to the tannery prospect, they could not gain the success. They could not achieve the successful criteria in the tannery industry and the tannery industry related activities. So this is the time of the new Bangladesh after the, what should I say, after the 5th August. In that time, there was a Yunus government. Even Yunus government, they did not take any kind of single initiative for the development procedure of the tannery industry. But you know that I have already mentioned that tannery industry was the biggest source of income, not only for the Bangladeshi government, but also for the foreign investment. Very recently, before 1 month ago, I visited the Hazaribagh, and in that time I explored in Hazaribagh. They usually produced a huge amount of international brand accessories, bracelet, belt. Even they used to make the show for the common people, and we could not see these types of first class product in Bangladesh. They usually transfer the product to the another country with money, and in that sector it's actually so much possible to gain a huge amount of money as a foreign investment by the foreign buyers. So even that in the morning I have searched in Facebook to see is there any kind of loss related to the tannery sector, related to the tannery related sector in Bangladesh, and unfortunately I could not get any kind of single loss which is relevant, which will work on the tannery sector in Bangladesh. So even I have already mentioned this is the biggest source of income, the tannery source of income in Bangladesh. But Bangladeshi government, they could not achieve success in this sector and in this segment. So how is it possible to make a huge amount of money in the future time actually in Bangladesh? So first of all, the Bangladeshi government, they have to make a codified laws. Whenever Bangladeshi government will make a codified laws, then all kinds of people, all kinds of investment, all kinds of industry, they will follow these rules, regulations. No one will be above the laws. According to Article 31 of Bangladesh Constitution, every people has the right to access the justice, access the communication, access the right to life and rule of law. So from this perspective, every single person related to the business sector of the tannery industry, they can usually go to the court and get the justice in their own hand. And from this perspective, the tannery sector will not in the hand of the syndicate. And in that time, the Bangladeshi government, they can manage huge amount of tax, they can manage huge amount of investment. Even at the same time, it will be a source of income for the common people, for the ordinary people. So right now, the biggest problem is faced by the big madrasas of Dhaka cities. You know that usually people give their skin, give their tannery related products to the madrasa, and in that time the madrasa authority, they have no idea how they will preserve these types of skin for a long time, for a sustainable period of time. And at that time, after 2 months or 3 months after the Eid ul Adha, these people, this malified, intensified people, they usually collect the skin product, collect the biological product from the madrasa, from the biggest industry with a lump sum amount of money. So this is injustice to those people who usually and gradually working on that sector for more than many more time. And throughout the 17 constructive years, these types of tertiary businessmen, they could not make a little money in the sector of the skin products and in the sector of the tannery products. Even as usual, I had a strong connection with the tannery industry because once I had an investment on the tannery sectors. In that time, I faced lots of economic barrier, social barrier, even syndicate based pressure. For example, on the time of the Eid ul Adha, before 3 or 4 years ago, usually I invested more than a huge amount of money in a tannery to make a lump sum income from this industry, and but I have failed to get the absolute money, to get the ultimate money from this sector, because the malified identified people, even the syndicate, they also articulated, they also occupied everything however they actually need for making a huge amount of money. But I have already mentioned that if the Bangladeshi government, they are able to break the syndicate, and I think that after rice product, the tanner industry product will be the second source of income in Bangladesh. So if I make a comparative development between India and Bangladesh and Pakistan, so India is far better in the sector of tannery sector. Even Bangladesh has a lots of sources to take huge amount of responsibilities and monies from the sectors, but only for the corruption, only for the syndicate, and only for not taking, not covering the laws and regulations. This industry will not get the success in the future time also. While I'm talking about the tannery industry, at the same time, I have to also talk about the ultimate upgradation of the tannery industry. in Bangladesh. So humbly, I'm requesting to the present government to make a laws related to the Bangladesh Tannery Industry Act 2026. And if it is not possible for the Bangladesh to maintain this laws, in the future time we will face lots of problems, because I'm saying in swear that without any kind of dilemma, this sector will be most financial and investment based sector after 10 years later. And I am an advocate, and in that time I will also alive. And my question, my inshallah, my answer, my question, even my opinion will be relevant after 20 years later, inshallah. And in that time I will also alive, and you can mark my point right now, and inshallah something will be happen after 20 years. So I'm humbly request to the government to make a new laws related to the Bangladesh tannery industry, and it will be more effective, and it is actually rational for the development in the economic sector in Bangladesh. So having lots of economic, social and cultural barrier, I believe that Bangladeshi government will take the strategy not for the development of the government, but for the development of the tertiary investors as like me in the root level. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.